Most men walk through life thinking they just need the right lines, the perfect timing, or a little extra charm to unlock a woman's heart. They think dating is a formula. Say this, wear that, act cool, and it'll all work out. But what they don't see is that intimacy isn't built on logic, it's built on energy. Real connection doesn't happen when she thinks about you. It happens when she feels you, deeply, viscerally, in a way she can't explain. While most guys are busy trying to impress her mind, the man who understands emotional flooding is impacting her body, her breath, her nervous system. He's bypassing her analytical brain and slipping through the cracks of her emotional armor. And once he's in, she doesn't want him to leave, not because of anything he said, but because of how he made her feel. This isn't manipulation. This is the biology of connection. The feminine doesn't surrender to logic. It surrenders to presence, to stillness, to power that doesn't seek, but radiates. While one man is obsessing over whether to text her now or later, another man walks into a room and shifts her entire mood without a word. That's the difference between trying to win her and letting her respond to your energy. She doesn't remember the clever texts or how often you complimented her. She remembers the way her heart raced when you looked at her and didn't look away, the way your silence made her feel seen, the calm beneath your words. That's what emotional flooding is. A surge of masculine presence so potent it drowns her thinking mind and activates something ancient in her, something that craves depth, certainty, and the kind of man who doesn't just understand her, but contains her. Asterisk emotional flooding is not about grand gestures or dramatic emotional outbursts. It's not about performing vulnerability or oversharing your past to win sympathy. It's something far more refined, something primal. It's the power of presence so steady it unsettles her. Gaze that doesn't wander, a voice that doesn't rush to fill silence. It's the calm confidence of a man who's not seeking approval, but radiating depth. Most men think they need to be louder, funnier, more interesting. But the man who knows how to emotionally flood a woman doesn't compete with noise. He becomes the silence that holds weight. He listens, not just to her words, but to the emotions beneath them. He hears her contradictions and doesn't flinch. He notices the flicker in her eyes when something touches a nerve. When she expects him to comfort, he challenges. When she expects him to chase, he stays still. This kind of presence is rare because it requires a man to stop performing and start seeing. And not just seeing her as a body or a prize, but as a layered being with wounds, fears, dreams, and defenses. The moment she realizes you're not reacting to her performance, she starts dropping it. Bit by bit, the mask slips, because emotional flooding is less about what you do and more about what you withstand. Can you hold space without collapsing? Can you witness her in her complexity without rushing to fix or please? Most men can't. But the ones who can, the ones who maintain emotional clarity, no matter what storm she brings, they become unforgettable. Not because they tried to be, but because their presence touched something sacred in her. Something that no line or compliment ever could. That's the power of still-anchored masculinity. And it's the foundation of real emotional pull. Asterisk the feminine thrives in emotion and chaos, in movement and intuition. It doesn't seek logic, it seeks sensation. And when a man understands this, truly understands it, he stops trying to tame her or reason with her. He stops trying to fit her into a predictable mold. Instead, he becomes the one solid thing in her whirlwind. It's not because he dominates, but because he anchors. That's the essence of emotional flooding. You create a container so steady, so grounded, that she can lose herself in it without fear. Not because she's weak, but because she's finally met a man strong enough to handle all of her. Most men crumble when the feminine tests. They panic at her silence. They flinch at her fire. They take it personally, try to fix it, or try to get out of the storm entirely. But the man who understands emotional flooding walks straight into that storm with calm in his eyes. He doesn't resist her waves, he absorbs them. He doesn't try to out-talk her feelings, he feels them with her without saying a word. This is the polarity she craves. The sharp edge of masculine certainty that doesn't try to overpower her, but doesn't get swept away either. When you raise the emotional temperature, not with drama, but with depths, something inside her softens. The guards she's had up for years begin to dissolve. Not because you tore them down, but because she felt safe enough to drop them on her own. That's the moment she stops controlling the interaction and starts responding to it. She begins to feel, not analyze. She breathes deeper, her voice lowers, her body leans. She's no longer in defense mode. She's in surrender. Surrender isn't weakness, it's trust. The highest compliment the feminine can give to the masculine, stillness, is not passivity. It's not doing nothing. It's doing everything without needing to prove anything. In a world where men talk fast, react quickly, and scramble for approval, the man who can hold a moment without flinching becomes magnetic. His energy doesn't chase, it pulls. His silence doesn't create distance, it creates depth. And that's what women feel before anything else. Before attraction, before desire, before trust. They feel how grounded you are, how unaffected you are by the noise around you, how little you need to be liked, and how much you are simply present. That's what emotional flooding is at its peak. When your very being becomes a safe space for her to unravel, not because you told her to, because she can't help it. She leans in because you don't. She speaks more because you listen with your whole body. She softens because you're not trying to soften her. Most men rush to fill the silence with jokes, compliments, explanations, but you let it stretch. You let her feel her own discomfort without needing to rescue her from it. And in that space, she feels something she rarely gets to feel: her own vulnerability, witnessed without judgment. That's where her heart starts to open, not from words, but from presence, not from pressure, but from emotional permission. You're not performing, you're reflecting. You're not telling her who she is. You're holding space for her too. Remember, and the more she remembers, the more she wants to stay near you. Not just for sex, not just for connection, but because something inside her feels calmer around you. Like she's found the masculine silence that can hold her chaos. That's what stillness does. It doesn't chase her, it calls her home. And in that home, she lets go of control and steps fully into feeling. That's where surrender begins. The man who understands emotional flooding doesn't use it as a tactic, he embodies it. He doesn't chase women with intensity. Fail isn't intensity. His energy isn't something he turns on to impress, it's something he cultivated through discipline, pain, reflection, and silence. He's gone to war with himself. He's faced his shadows, his fears, his emotional chaos. And because he's held himself in that fire, he can now hold a woman in hers. That's why she trusts him without knowing why. It's not just attraction, it's recognition. Oh, she feels his depth, his edge, his unshakable nature. And it doesn't just arouse her, it calms her. Because she's spent years being the one who holds, leads, carries. And now, for the first time, she meets a man whose presence is strong enough for her to rest inside. She starts revealing herself not because he asked her to, but because his silence made it safe. She confesses her longings, her shame, her chaos, not because she's weak, but because she's never met someone who wouldn't try to fix or flee. And he doesn't flinch. He doesn't chase validation. He doesn't perform. He just holds. That alone is rare. That's what she remembers. Long after the touch fades, she remembers how he made her feel. That feeling becomes addictive. In a toxic way, but in a cellular way. Her body starts to respond before her mind can form words. And here's the truth. The more grounded you become, the less effort you need. You don't need to game anything. You are the game. You attract, not because you manipulate, but because you radiate. The right women will feel it immediately. They won't need persuasion. They'll just want to be near you, because your presence makes them feel more like themselves. That's the deepest seduction there is.